Hello creatives, and welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be doing an Illustrator tutorial on how to use the pen tool, which is a vital tool to any illustrator. We're going to start with some basic shapes. Go ahead and select the pen tool from the left taskbar and go ahead and go over to this circle. The circle is where we're going to start. We're going to start at the top. We're going to choose every midpoint around the circle. We're going to do a click and drag. You do this very often. And we are going to click and drag starting at the top. We're going to drag to the right. So click and drag to the right. Going clockwise, find the midpoint on the right side of the circle. Click and drag down. And then to the bottom of the circle, click and drag to the left. And then the midpoint on the left side of the circle, click and drag upwards. To complete the shape, click and drag on the first initial click that you did at the top of the circle. To complete it, click and drag to the right. And you have your circle shape. Now the next shape is a square, and the square is going to be very easy. It's just going to be click, 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 click. So you're going to start at one corner, click, don't drag, and then go to the next corner, click, next corner, click, next corner, click, and then the corner that you started with, click over again, and it will complete the square shape. You will see the stroke start to follow you as you click around the corners. And next to that, I have a rectangle. It is the same concept. Just click each corner of the rectangle and complete your shape by clicking on the first initial click that you had chosen, and it completes the shape and you have a rectangle. The square and the rectangle are the easiest shapes in illustrating. Now that we have the simple shapes out of the way, the circle, square, and rectangle, we are going to try a triangle, and we are going to utilize the click and drag from the circle before, and we are going to incorporate something new. So we're going to start by clicking and dragging. I started at the bottom right corner. Click and drag on a diagonal, just follow the line, and then on your next click and drag, you're going to click and drag in the same direction, upward diagonally, and then you're going to press Alt on your keyboard or Command if you're on a Mac, and you're going to hover over the handle that appears on either side of your click point, and you're going to take the handle that is off of the triangle. You're going to Alt click and drag and bend it to form the shape of the top of the triangle, and then you're going to go to the next corner and click and drag just like you did on that first click and drag. Follow that outward handle, Alt click or Command click and drag the handle till it matches up with the bottom of the triangle, and then finish the shape off by clicking and dragging on that first initial click point, and that is your triangle. If you happen to miss the template line, go ahead and just use your direct selection tool to pull your points into place, or there is also the option to Control Z or Command Z and redo it. No harm, no shame in that. Moving on, we are going to do a diamond shape. It's kind of like the square shape from before. It's just going to be 4 clicks, or if you want to utilize your new click and drag and break the handle, then you can utilize that. For now, I'm just going to do the click, click, click with the pen tool on each corner. The last shape that we are going to use as practice is a trapezoid. This is going to incorporate the click and then the click and drag that we have already practiced with. I'm going to start at the top left corner and click with the pen tool. Next corner to the right at the top, going to click. Going to the bottom right corner, I'm clicking and dragging at a diagonal, and then breaking that handle with Alt click or Command click to drag the handle to match the bottom of the trapezoid. Going over to the left corner, clicking and dragging, breaking that handle again, and going ahead and lining that up diagonally with the left side of the trapezoid, and finishing off the shape by just clicking the initial start point. Once again, if you were not precise with the clicks on the template, you can go back and fix those with the direct selection tool. And those are all the basic shapes that you start to learn when using the pen tool. Those are all the shapes that you encounter as an illustrator. They are literally in anything and everything that you see if you are going to digitally illustrate or vectorize anything. Now I'm going to show you a live photograph that I took to show you where these shapes come into play while you are illustrating. This is the photograph I chose of a floating lantern in a lake, and I have already illustrated some of this. It's not finished, but I will break it down for you to show you where the shapes that we started with before and practiced come into play in this photo. I'm sure many of you could already see the obvious one, which is the rectangles, as well as the circles. And then we also have a little diamond in there, which is why I had that as one of our basic shapes. And we also encounter something a little bit new, half circles or half spheres. So we're going to go ahead and dive right into that, and you'll get to see it as I illustrate it. Now I already picked all my colors from selecting them from the photograph, and we are going to start with the rectangles. They're the easiest, so it's just the click, 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 click like we did before, just the four corners of the rectangle, and you can guesstimate the points, and then you can use the direct selection tool to pull them into place for whatever makes visual sense perspective-wise. You can just copy and paste and reflect the first rectangle that you create, but for the sake of this video, we're using the pen tool, and I'm just negating the colors for right now so you can see everything underneath. I did copy and paste for the smaller rectangles only to save on time, and I'm also showing you the colors as I go, but then again taking them away so that you can see the process of illustrating all the details. The one thing I did not have you guys practice is creating straight lines with the pen tool, but I figure you guys can handle it. It's not that hard. You can either use the line tool or the pen tool, but for the sake of this video, we're using the pen tool. So don't cheat by using the line tool if you know how to use that. And now I just added the colors back in so you can see our progress, and we're going to move on going up the lantern to our diamond shape up at the top, and I'm going to use the click and drag and break handle method for this just so you can see how that works. And this is personal preference. You can click and drag, or you can do the click, 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 click. It's up to you. I personally like the click and drag. And then we zoom out just to see how far we've come. It's looking pretty good. I'm turning on and off the layer so you can see the photograph underneath. Hello, goodbye, hello, goodbye. Moving on to the most simple shape next would be the circle. So we are going to do the click and drag midpoints of the circle, and then we are going to move on to the harder shape. Just fixing up where I messed up here and there, getting everything in line and in place. And then we are going to move on to these ovals. I did not have you try ovals, but it's the same concept as a circle. It's just in a different perspective. So find the midpoints and click and drag and click and drag. Do not cheat by using the circular tool. If you know how to use that, do not cheat. We're practicing the pen tool, people. I am also changing the arrangement of the shapes and how you see them. So the ovals are going to be behind the circle at the top because the circle is the very tippity top. And then making sure that I do the second oval and making sure that that is arranged correctly behind the circle and the first oval. And then I'm going to line everything up because clearly I had missed the actual points of where I needed to place them. So I'm just going to use the direct selection tool and move them securely into place so that it looks visually correct. I'm also turning on and off the layer just to make sure that I am right on point, double checking my work as I go. And then moving on to the biggest half sphere is what I like to call it because it's not really an oval, and using the click and drag method with that one just because it is the most accurate. That way you can move the handles at will to match up with the actual shape. And of course, let's not forget about that tiny little oval lip at the very bottom of the top of the lantern, making sure that we get that right. And if you are unsure of where to place the points for this, it's all a perspective thing. The points in the background do not matter so much as long as it looks like it's in line perspective wise. Once again, putting that all in arrangement order and making sure all of the points line up and look visually correct to the photograph. The last shape that I will show you that I didn't have you practice is a cylinder, so we are just going to use the click and drag method. It's going to be like a combination of a square and a sphere. So go ahead and click and drag every endpoint that you think there is based on the photograph, and there you go. You have yourself a cylinder. I am putting the colors back in place and then putting all the shapes in arrangement order so that it looks visually correct, and there you have it. You have the start of a lantern. How amazing was that with just learning those basic shapes plus a few tricky ones that I threw in there. I can continue on like the example that I have to the left where you can use gradients and all bunches of tricks, but that'll come later. But this is just to show you how you can practice those basic shapes and literally illustrate anything your heart desires. I hope you guys enjoyed enjoyed this, and let me know of any other tutorials you would like to see. Leave it in the comments down below. Subscribe to my channel, turn on your push notifications, and thank you for watching.